I want people to ask me this question in interviews.
Yeah. now is your...
And don't know if I should say that, but also very beautiful women. What could have been a very bad experience turned out to be a very positive experience. One thing you can tell if you're French or not is
Welcome to Travel Talk with Art Thomya. Our special guest today is a multicultural guy who has lived and worked in many parts of the world. Let's get to know the life journey of my big brother, 𝗙𝗵 Ariya Banomyong. Okay, bonjour.
Bonjour.
สวัสดีครับพี่หมี
สวัสดีครับ
First of all, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Today is a special day. It's going to be casual, and we're going to talk about travel and everything in your life that you want to talk about. Okay. But first of all, we are here. Just finished our food.
Delicious food.
Yeah, บ้านดุสิตธานี This is kind of a legendary building here in CBD of Bangkok. It's a 100-year-old house renovated into a Thai restaurant. Benjarom, a lot of people in Thailand, they know Benjarom already. Okay, every time I interview my guests, I would start from their hometown. Okay.
Well, it's going to take a long time because I'm pretty old now.
It's okay. Where were you born?
I was born in France. But maybe before we start from where I was born, maybe we should tell our story. Because we actually know each other.
How we met, right?
How we met.
So I remember in my memory 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
Around July.
Yes.
That we had an interview. That time you interviewed me. At Central World.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of questions about Google digital marketing.
Yeah. So Art was actually part of the founding team when we started Google in Thailand in 2011.
Yeah.
And so that's how we know each other.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. So now it's a history.
Yeah, it's history, exactly.
History.
So back to your question. Well, I was born in France.
Yes.
And the reason why I was born in France is both my parents are Thai.
Yes.
But they went to study in France separately.
Yes.
And they met in France.
Yes.
They got married, and well, that's where my sister and I were born.
Okay.
So my sister is younger, 6 years younger than me. She still lives there. She's married. She's got a kid. So her life is in France. But yeah, I was born in France, so I grew up.
Paris.
Yes.
Okay.
On the outskirts of Paris.
Okay.
I was born there, grew up there, and fun fact, French is actually my mother tongue.
Okay.
So still until today, when people send me messages online in Thai, I can the true story is I cannot read all of it.
Right.
So I have to pretend I can read, and I use voice to speak, to say my messages, so I can reply in Thai. But actually, I can read slowly, but I cannot write Thai. So French is actually my mother tongue.
Right. And how did you get your Thai?
Well, my parents. So very simple. At home, my parents and my nanny would speak to me in Thai, and outside of home, speak French. So that's how I picked up Thai. But that's also why I don't read or I don't speak Thai.
Okay. So Thai is considered the second language.
Well, it's still my mother tongue, but it's just that I can't read, I can't write.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how was it growing up in Paris, like a cosmopolitan city of the world?
Well, I think if you go back way back, it was a very long time ago. Things were quite different, and I think you've heard a lot of stories wherever you have Asian people live in European cities or in the US and whatnot. It's very common that let's be honest, you would get bullied.
Yes.
You have some racist people just because we're different, right? So yeah, that's something I experienced when I was younger. But at the same time, I've always been like very, very fortunate with friends.
Yes.
So I've always had like my French friends protecting me. So I was very, I was very lucky. So I never really got like, like bullied at school.
Okay.
Because I have my friends like, always protecting me.
Okay. And those friends, just to keep contact
Yeah,
until now.
Yeah. Still very good friends. But that's how I forged like, very, very good friends. Still, we're still friends up until now.
How's life at school?
School, I would say this. I've never been like, I've never really been like an ace student. I would do okay at school. But one teacher I will always remember, and I think you probably can tell that a bit, is my English teacher. I think it's probably the only special teacher that I can remember. For two reasons.
Yes.
When I was in that was my English teacher when I was at high school, and you have to know this. And anyone who's traveled to France, that French people don't like to speak English.
Yes.
And I'm probably one of the few exceptions because of that teacher. And the reason why I remember this teacher for two reasons.
Yes.
One is someone who gave me the the love of speaking English. And two is, he was very good. He had like a sixth sense. Every time he gave us homework, every single time I didn't do my homework, he would say, "Ariya, come in front," and he would ask me questions in front of the classroom.
Right.
Every time, right? And so sometimes he would caught me not doing my homework.
Yes.
Then I would think the next day, he's not going to call me twice, right? He could just call me. And the next day, he knew that I didn't do my homework again. He called me again.
All right.
And it's a teacher I had a very good relationship with. But it was very funny because he would know that when I didn't do my homework every time. He never failed. I don't know how. And so he's a teacher that one of the few teachers I remember from my high school years.
Right. And the teacher called you Ariya, which is your Thai name.
Yes.
Do you have your French name?
Ariya.
Okay, the same.
Oh, Ariya.
Does it have to be pronounced like Ariya?
Ariya.
Yeah. So okay. Right. How about on weekends? For kids in
weekends,
Paris?
I've always been, from a very young age, always been into sports.
That's why.
Like I started with swimming, tennis, martial arts. So always been into sports.
Okay, and you studied in France until graduating from university.
I graduated. I did my master in mathematics and IT.
Okay, first master. Okay.
And then I went to
the UK.
Across the channel. Went to the UK.
To LSE.
To the LSE for my second master's.
Okay, so for the France years, talking about destinations in France, you've been traveling around, of course, not just only the central part. You have favorite destinations? Plenty.
I think not one in particular.
Region, probably?
Yeah, I like a couple of regions I like. I like Bordeaux.
Bordeaux? Why?
Because of the one. And in saying that, I'm actually not like a Bordeaux like hardcore fan. Because Bordeaux is quite heavy. So it goes well with meat, but not in Thailand with the heat.
Yes.
No, I don't drink Bordeaux.
Okay.
Right? But I love the region mainly because it's a beautiful region. It's close to the sea. You have the forest. So it's not just a city, but the city in itself it's a beautiful city.
Yes.
But the food is exceptional. So I love that. And I now have like one of my best friends living in Bordeaux. My sister also lives in Bordeaux. So Bordeaux is one region I really like, and I still like the Bordeaux, but the wine. And what I like to do is like when you visit all the chateaux and the vineyards, that's the best experience, right?
This is Chateau de la Loire.
No, Château de la Loire is a
different region.
Yeah, different region. But so you have all the vineyards, that you visit one by one. It's such a great experience. The other region I like for similar reason is Burgundy, la Bourgogne.
Okay.
Because I'm actually more of a Burgundy type of person in terms of wine. Burgundy fits me better. I like the, I feel it's more graceful as a wine.
Yes.
It's not as heavy, and so that's what I love. And same, that region, beautiful food as well. So I guess I lean towards like wine region.
Wine region. How did you travel at that time? By car or by train? Like more the way that you travel? Car. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually by car. French people travel a lot by car.
By car. Okay. And the railway network is really good as well.
Yeah. The rail network is very good, very practical. But it's just that when you travel by train, then you need a car.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people still travel by car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the highways are so good that it's very convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
For Thai people or for Asian people, if they go to France for the first time, they usually go to Paris.
Yeah.
But if it's for the second time, you would recommend these regions?
You have France is actually about the same size as Thailand, right?
Yes.
And so it really depends on what you like, but you have the center. If you go to the left-hand side, so that's why you have Brittany. So you definitely need to go there. Again, everywhere you'll have great food. But, so Brittany has also like very, very good food. Then you can go like down to the south. So you have like before you get there, you have Bordeaux, obviously. You have Bordeaux there, so if you like wine, so you have Bordeaux, Burgundy. Then obviously if you go down like to the south, you have Nice, la Côte d'Azur, Marseille, and all. So you get different taste of France, and then you have obviously the center with the mountains and whatnot, but that's more like for winter. And I think now like skiing in France is becoming more popular amongst like Thai socialites. Yeah.
All right. Where do you go for skiing?
Actually, funny story. I used to ski when I was at school because the school organized like ski trips. In Les Alpes and whatnot. I was never like a really big fan. I mean, I like ski, but it wasn't like, I wasn't like a die-hard, hardcore like ski fan.
Okay.
And then when I came back to Thailand, that's when I discovered like water sports. So I do kite surf. Right?
Yes, in Hawaii.
And like I love that. It's like you just have a board short, and the water is so warm. Unlike when you go to ski, it's like
very cold.
It's very cold. You need a lot of equipment, and so I completely switched to like water sports until I had my boys, my kids. Right?
Yes.
So when they were born, now they're more grown up. So that's when I had to restart going back to ski for them, and so I had to restart skiing. But now we go to Japan instead of France.
Right. Are you a foodie?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How about food in France? For people who are not familiar with French food.
Okay. I'll say one thing. You don't need to go to Michelin star restaurant. It's like it's absolutely not necessary at all.
Right.
People who go there, they go because they just want to be able to post on Instagram and say, I went to a Michelin star restaurant.
Yes.
To be honest, it's like, and I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but I don't think there are levels of French food, and you don't need to go to that level of refinement to enjoy French food.
Right.
You can go to bistro, you can go to, France has so many restaurants, so many to choose from, and there's good food everywhere, and in France, like people really love people are into their craft. It's a small restaurant. The owner is the chef and whatever, is very passionate. There's good food everywhere.
Okay.
You do not need to go for like expensive Michelin star restaurant. At least before you get there, make sure that you've tasted like a lot of other French restaurants. And once you know, like you've tried a lot of different kind of food, you know, then okay, you want to discover like, okay, what's Michelin type of French food? Yeah, definitely. But if you haven't even tried the basics, it's like, you know, why are you jumping to, you know, sort of that level? And it's not to say that they're not good. They are very good, but there's so much choice before you need to go to a Michelin star restaurant. That's my opinion, right?
Any local dishes that we must try? I don't really know much about French dishes.
Okay, one thing you can tell if you're French or not is andouillette. Andouillette has it's very particular. There's a few French restaurants in Bangkok that offer andouillette. It's andouillette. It's like I think it's tripes, and it's turned into a kind of sausage. Yeah, it's a sausage, right? But inside it's tripes.
Okay.
And you eat that, like it has a very particular smell because it's tripes and it's made into a sausage and then it's grilled.
Right.
So very strong smell. But I love it.
Okay.
And this I can tell you, like I don't think I've ever met any Thai person who could eat andouillette. And actually a lot of French people don't eat andouillette as well, right? So that's one dish that's very particular.
How about light one or like more common one?
What I love as well, which is not actually a French dish, but very popular in France because you have a lot of you know, immigrants living in France. It's couscous.
Couscous. I think I've heard.
Yeah, couscous is actually, you know, it's like from the Middle East.
Yes.
So, and you have it in different countries.
Right.
But because you have a lot of immigrants or Arabs living in France, it's a very common dish. And that's why you can also find like very good couscous in France.
Okay.
And the reason I mentioned this, it's very hard to find good couscous in Bangkok. So there's that. The other thing I love is, in French you call that gibier. Gibier, it's all the animals that you get from hunting.
Okay.
Yeah. When it's hunting season, you have pheasant, you have rabbit, you have these. So these are like kind of meat that you cannot eat like all the time. So it comes during hunting season, and it's you know, it's also taste is particular. It's very good. You know, some restaurants do that, so it's not common. The other thing there's so many things.
Yes, so France is famous for food.
Yeah, what else? Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Yeah.
Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Okay.
I love foie gras. You know, especially the one that's that's poached.
Okay.
You know, and the reason why I love this is because it's hard to find like very good foie gras. It's usually quite expensive, especially fresh one, nicely cooked. And you have some restaurants that are specialized in that in France. So you don't find a lot of these in Thailand, and I guess because it's also it's expensive to import.
Yeah. But before we move onwards to the UK years, croissant. How to find the local great ones in Paris?
So many. Yeah, so many. Yeah, same. It's like croissant is like bread, croissant. These are like basic, very basic things. Very good and basic that you can find like in every city. You know, we call boulanger. So they are the people who make bread, croissant. You have one like it's a very common business. It's almost like 7-Eleven, right? It's like you can find it like almost at every corner. Now a little bit less because I think with the economy, it's like many of them had to close down. But you always have a local boulangerie that's very good, doing very good bread, very fresh. You also have the popular, the very known one. But I guarantee you that you go in any city, you'll find a good one, right?
Okay.
And the reason why it's getting harder to find is I think people are becoming maybe a little bit more lazy because if you want to do bread, basically you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning to do that fresh, right?
Okay.
So it's actually hard work.
Okay. Right. So now moving to the UK years, after you graduating from your master's in France, you continue with LSE, London School of Economics. What do you study? What did
Management.
you study? Management.
Yeah.
Okay. You particularly chose London.
No, I chose management. I would say I'm not sure if I chose LSE or LSE chose me. The reason I have a story about this.
Okay.
When I finished my studies in France, I did math and IT because my dad is an engineer.
Yes.
So I grew up like doing what my dad wanted me to do, and at some point it's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do more like something that had to do with business. So I was looking at management, MBA, and I wanted to continue my studies. And so I graduated because I thought like, okay, I'll do it because for my dad. But after I finish, I want to do it for myself. And so that's when I started like applying to different schools. I applied to the LSE without really knowing what was the LSE. And anyone who knows the LSE knows the reputation of the school. But back then I applied, I had no idea. So I applied to a few schools in London, and I had no idea whether I was going to be accepted or not. And I was during summer. I actually was in Thailand at that point when I got the acceptance letter.
Okay.
So my mom called me while I was in Thailand and said, "B, the LSE sent you a letter. You accepted. You have to come back." So it was. I think it was like, I was
September,
here. Yeah, I was here in August.
Okay.
I had to fly back immediately, and I flew back to France, and then I took the the Eurostar. I went to the LSE, and the reason why I say I had a story is on my first day, not the first day I started, but the first day I had to go to the LSE with my letter to register. So it was still vacation, so the school was still empty. So I went to the the administration, the administration office, and you need the acceptance letter, and obviously you need the TOEFL, right? And I had my TOEFL. I remember my score, and the reason I remember my score is that's part of the story. I had a score of 590, and normally the score is supposed to be 600. Yeah. And to me it was like 590, 600, not a big deal. They're not going to make like a big deal out of it, and they made a big deal out of it. And so I went to the application office, the administration office, and they said, well, we cannot accept you because you didn't pass your TOEFL. Oh. And I was like, I flew all the way back from Thailand to France, then from France to London, and on my first day at the school, which was a little bit like daunting, I was completely speechless. I was like, okay, what do I do now? And like I said, I've always been very fortunate with people around me. So my friends are definitely one group of people who always supported me, but I've always been lucky with people. And that day, there was one student, one LSE student, was around who happened to overheard the discussion. And when he saw my face walking out, he said, "Do not take no for granted. You've earned your right to be at the school. Go and speak to the dean of the management office." So I applied for management, and so he told me, like, go and talk to her.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't know that guy. And didn't take his name. I didn't even know him.
Okay.
And that person told me, like, he cheered me up. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I asked, like, where's the office of the dean of the management program, and her name was Dr. Diane, was a woman. So I went to talk to her.
Yes.
I explained to her my situation, and because I was sitting in front of her, like, talking to her, I said, well, obviously your English is good enough, and no problem.
Okay.
And so she signed me a paper. So I went back to the application office, and sorted everything out.
All right.
So first day, what could have been a very bad experience turned out to be a very positive experience. But it was also a learning, because I met someone who said, it's your right. Do not take no for granted. You have to fight for it. And honestly, if I didn't meet that guy, I was like, I was a bit lost. Right?
Okay. Right.
So that's how I started my studies at the 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗧.
Oh, big learning about protecting your rights.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, cool. And after that, okay, the semester started.
Yeah.
And how was life in London?
Well, was very intense.
Because it's
Because I went for a master's, and I think the British the British academic program is actually quite intense.
Yes.
So I can say that I've never read this many books in my whole life.
Yes.
In such a short amount of time.
Okay.
I had to I had to take books, like some were like 200 pages or 300 pages.
Right.
And I have to think, like, okay, I have 5 days to read, so 300 divided by 5, that's 60 pages a day. That was my sort of a KPI. It's like, okay, you need to finish like 60 pages per day.
Okay.
And that wasn't like one book, it was like many books. So I had to read so much. Wasn't used to that coming from France. So that was the academic side of things.
Okay.
But the other side of things was more on the social side. London was a great experience because London is a people always say it's a melting pot. It really is a melting pot, especially at the 𝗙𝗍𝗄𝗧. It's like you have like I don't know. It's like you have so many nationalities studying in one same school. So you meet like people from every country. So I've made a lot of friends. It was very interesting to meet so many different people. In France, we didn't have that. It's like you French, that's it, right? Okay. Because you have to speak French, so you don't really have like a lot of foreigners naturally. But in London, it was like very international, very international. So that was a great thing. The other side of the sort of social life was the Thai community.
Thai Square.
Well, Thai Square, Eddie's,
Eddie's.
The good old days. But for me, that was important because, I was born in France. I had never lived in Thailand. I had never studied in Thailand. Even though I can, I'm Thai. I can speak Thai, but I didn't have like a lot of Thai friends, and so. In the UK, in London, in the UK especially, you have a lot of Thai students. So for me, it's like usually I would recommend, like, if you go somewhere, do not stay with your own people because that's the whole point of going abroad. Right. You don't want to be with the same people. Otherwise, don't travel. Stay in your own country, right? Yes. But for me, it's like I had a different purpose. I had never lived in Thailand. I didn't have friends, so that was an opportunity for me to make also Thai friends.
Ah, okay, right. Okay. So you met a lot of new friends.
I made a lot of friends
around Trafalgar Square.
Well, at school.
At school too. At school too. Yes.
A lot of Thai students.
And it's a part of the big University of London. You know. Well, system as well. Yeah. Many colleges
and schools. Schools would meet. We would often meet with Imperial. And other schools.
Other schools too.
Yeah.
Did you go on a trip in the UK with your friends?
Did we go on a trip? Yeah, we did a few. Okay. But mostly, like people who were living in the UK wanted to go outside and visit Europe.
How about travel life in the UK?
Yeah, I did a few.
Did you go any? Well, can you share with us any, like, memorable trip?
Well, we went to Bournemouth.
Okay. Near the sea. Bournemouth.
Near the sea.
Okay. Why Bournemouth? It's not a touristic city.
Why not?
Okay. Maybe your local friend recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mostly because I wasn't in London for very long.
Yes.
I mostly stayed in London.
Okay. Apart from study, what's the best part of living in London?
Maybe a very basic answer, the theaters.
Yeah, yes, musicals.
The musicals.
Okay.
Because I think that's very unique. That's one thing that's very particular about London.
Right. Are you a musical person?
No. Not really, but going to the musicals was really a great experience.
Okay. Yes.
And also because I think one thing that London does, and the UK in general does very well,
yes,
it's to have like special prices and discounts for students.
Yes.
So you could get like very cheap prices, but you're very far in the back.
Yes.
But still, it makes it very affordable. So that was great, and the food in London.
Different from that in France.
Yeah. I mean, the great food in London is obviously not British. There's no such thing as British food. I know I'm gonna probably rub off a lot of people, but great Chinese food.
Yes, of course, around Piccadilly Circus, Soho.
Yeah. So good food in London would be like not everything, not British food. I'm sorry if I said that.
So you have your favorite Chinese restaurant in London?
Well, I can't remember the names, but there was there was one very fun restaurant in Soho. I can't remember the name, where if you went there, you knew that it was the worst service ever, because the waiters and the waitresses would scream and yell at you.
I know. Lan Ai Leo.
Yeah,
I know that one.
That one, the one that's right, like if you come from Soho and
it's like £4 noodle.
Yeah. And people love that. It was like you go for the experience.
Yes. One question about musical theater, because I'm a music person and I've watched a lot of musicals. Do you have your favorite show?
No.
Okay.
Les Miserables. That was good. I think the one I liked the most, but not from my days in London. When I went back to London, actually I went to see that one. But many years ago with my kids, I was a Lion King.
Yes. That always classic. The Lion King.
That was so good.
Yeah. All right. So from London, you're back to.
No, I'm not back. Actually, I'm going to somewhere else.
Somewhere else in Eastern Europe?
Yeah, in Eastern Europe.
Why Eastern Europe?
Because, I want people to ask me this question in interviews.
Yeah. now is your...
That was the thing when I thought about that when I was younger.
Yes.
No, the real story is, it's a... I think in life, I have key moments, key memories. Like when I started at the IIC first day, the reason why I remember these moments so clearly is because there was something that day marked my life, right? It could have been like a left turn or a right turn, or a blue pill or a red pill, kind of moment. And Eastern Europe and Romania basically was one of those moments. when I graduated from London, that back then, everyone's dream was to stay in London. London was very hot.
Find a job or something.
Yeah, and find a job in London. So I applied for different jobs, and actually I got an offer, and I had two choices. I had two offers. I had one offer from L'Oréal, the beauty company, the French beauty company, to work for L'Oréal in London. So the dream job. L'Oréal was amazing company.
Yes.
You know, in London, like, it ticked all the boxes.
Yes.
It should have been a no-brainer. But then I had another offer. It was to work for Orange in Romania, in Bucharest.
All right.
And I think for anyone who's listening, the choice would have been obvious. I think 99% of people probably have chosen work for L'Oréal in London. But I chose Orange in Bucharest. Actually, I didn't choose Orange. I chose Bucharest. I chose the country. I didn't choose the job.
Because
my thinking was this. I had just spent like a year and a half in London.
Yes.
Even though I still wanted to stay there, I thought like Bucharest. When I got the offer, it was like, why would you go there? And that was my question, but that was also my answer. I thought like, if I don't go there right now, when I was that young, if I grew older, I would never think of going to Romania. So I told myself, B, if you don't go now, you will never go to this country. So I chose the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And the job came along, but I chose the country because I was, my first job. So was young enough to say, well, if you don't go now, when are you going to go?
Yeah.
Right? That was the thinking, and so I chose Bucharest, and I think I chose right because when I went to Bucharest, I stayed there for almost 2 years. 2 years, my first job was like I had worked for 4 years. What I did there was worth 4 years of professional experience.
Yeah, right.
And so when I came back, it opened like so many doors for me because of what I did in Romania.
Okay. Orange at that time was a French company?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, to be precise, it was back then. It was still France-Telecom.
Okay.
So it was before the France-Telecom acquired Orange. So it was France-Telecom. Basically, we were opening the first mobile service in Romania.
Right.
So they didn't have mobile phones, and we were launching the mobile network in Romania.
Okay.
So the first service ever.
Okay.
And so when I went there, the team was very small.
Okay.
The French team had challenges recruiting people, not because Romanian people are not good, but because they never had a mobile service operator before.
Yes.
So all the people living there had zero experience.
Right.
So we had to build everything, not just the network, but also the team and the people.
All right.
And so we were a very small group of French people. And so everything was based on trust and, okay, who wants to do this? You want to do this? You okay? Okay, do it. Because we didn't have a lot of people, right? And there was so much work that if you raise your hand, you could do like, you could end up with so much work.
Yes.
But that was the opportunity because there was, it wasn't like a ladder or structure saying, okay, you're a junior, you have to work as a junior for 1 year or 2 years, then you move up and so on and so forth. Here was like shortcut. It's like, what do you want to do? Can you do it? Okay, you do it.
You do it.
And they gave us, my friends, like so much responsibility for our age. That's why I said I worked there for almost 2 years. It was worth like 4 years.
Okay.
I would have never done that in a more like structured environment. This was completely not unstructured, but because we didn't have enough people, it's like, okay, what do you want to do? Who's up for it? Do it. Go do it.
Okay. So it was long hours for work.
Long hours, yeah.
Did you get time to travel?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, I was young, so what we ended up doing is like we worked like late hours, then we would go to dinner very late, then we would go out very late, and then we would start early. So you know, we had the energy to be able to do that. We were young enough to be able to do that.
And no work on weekends? Or
No.
sometimes?
No, sometimes, but mostly no.
Okay.
And so I was very fortunate because I went to Romania after 𝗙𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗃. So after the end of the communist era.
Yes.
But it was still very communist. So if you go to Bucharest, it's still very like grey building, very square. But the country was booming. So you had nightlife, hotels, clubs, restaurants. So it was the city was buzzing. You know, it's
right. Was it easy to travel around to neighboring countries?
By train.
Okay.
So we took the train. You know, we went to Budapest. We went to Slovenia.
Okay.
We visited a lot of the countries, neighboring countries
in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And all of these are like very beautiful countries, and don't know if I should say that, but also very beautiful women.
I know that story. We're not gonna show about this. Okay, so from Romania, now it's back to Thailand.
Then back to France.
France first. For how long?
2 years.
Okay,
So,
at Orange.
After Romania, when I finished my contract, one of the companies that we work with offered me a job. So I came back to France, worked for them. The company was called Genesis.
Okay.
And then it was acquired by 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗰𝗲.
Okay.
So work for them, covered like EMEA, so Europe, European countries. And after 2 years, I heard of
Orange was coming to
that
Thailand.
was Orange, and that was Orange then. Orange was about to launch, so that was about the same year of the acquisition of France Telecom acquiring Orange. And Orange was launching in Thailand.
Yes.
And so, again, a defining moment for a very good reason is my girlfriend and now wife back then. I was trying to find an opportunity to come back to work in Thailand, and I saw that. So again, perfect timing. So I applied for a job, and that's how I came back to Thailand.
Okay.
In May 2001.
Okay, I remember. I think the opening song of Orange in Thailand, 𝗙𝗿.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah.
𝗙𝗿𝗃𝗃. This one.
Yeah. And there was also the English song. I can't remember the name.
Near or something. I don't know.
Very popular song, but when Orange came to Thailand, like huge impact, huge change.
Okay, all right. So that was the first start of the career here in Thailand.
Yeah.
Orange, which became a part of
France Telecom, and they kept the brand.
Okay.
And then Orange, a few years later, became True.
Became True.
Yeah.
Okay. And from True, how long did you spend your time in True?
Well, all in all, I stayed with the group from Orange to True 11 years.
11 years.
So that's the longest I had ever been with a company.
Okay. So now, next was Google.
Next was Google.
It's a long story. We cannot cover it all in like this session. But about your time in Thailand, from Orange, True, Google, and then to Line and Channel 3, which is 𝗙𝗍𝗃 group. Okay. After living in France, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and back to like motherland, Thailand, did you first find any culture shock?
Yes.
Or Can you share with us like some of them?
It's a story I always tell when I'm asked. It's again, reason why I remember the date so vividly, 17th of May 2001, it's because on that day I landed in the morning and went to work in the afternoon.
Yes.
So quite extreme. But first day on the job, in the afternoon, I was in a meeting room, and remember, like, I look Asian, I look Thai, but inside I'm probably what you call a banana. You know, yellow outside, white inside. So I still thought very much like you know, a Westerner, and so I had picked up some habits. And so when I was in the meeting, we were about 6 months away from launching in Thailand, and I had a lot of experience in the you know, working with telcos. I knew a lot of the vendors, and so in that meeting, we were a table this side, and I asked a question like, who chose that vendor, that supplier?
Just a normal question.
That's the question I literally asked.
Yes.
And the room went like quiet, very silent. And I knew that I did something wrong, you know, but I was like, I know I did something wrong, but I don't know what, you know. I couldn't, the first day, I remember I had never lived, I had never studied, I had never worked in Thailand. Right? So I only came to spend like a couple of weeks on vacation.
Yes.
So first day on the job, the room went dead quiet. I was like, I know I did something wrong, but I didn't know what. And so after the meeting, very Thai style, you know, people come and talk to you and said, you know, it's like, could be you shouldn't ask questions like this. I was like, what question? Yeah. And so basically, in the room, people felt like
offended.
The way I asked the question is like, who chose that vendor? Like someone did something wrong, and I was trying to figure out like, was this you? So, and that's how the you know, people in the meeting room took it. I was like, okay. So you don't do that here. But I think it was a great first day, because right on the first day I knew that okay, you don't work like this. Not in Thailand. The work culture is different. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, well, now I'm in Thailand, so I need to adapt. But first day on the job, that was my experience.
Right.
So,
how about outside of the office?
First year was very frustrating. You know, like very typical. Like, you know, work was one thing. Transportation, like traffic jams, like red lights that last for 10 minutes, that doesn't make sense. You know, like the way the administration, you have to queue to wait, and you know, a lot of inefficiencies. So I was very like, you know, I was a Westerner coming to Thailand and say, this is so bad, this doesn't work. You know, it's like, it's very critical.
Okay, so having lived in the country that is one of the most visited countries in the world, Thailand, in the past like 1-2 decades, you've been traveling around Thailand. Are you a mountain or beach or
beach?
A beach person, of course.
100%.
You have your favorite city?
Definitely @Hua Hin. And not, you know, you would expect that I would say like PP or something like that. But the reason why I say @Hua Hin, it's because it meets a lot of the you know, criteria for me. It's like it's close enough to Bangkok that I can go often. People are friendly. It's a beautiful. It's a nice city. You have great food, and I do kite surf. So, you know, for me, all of these reasons, like, you know, you package them together. It's like I can definitely say that at some point, if and when I retire, I will be in @Hua Hin, like 100%.
Me too. I love @Hua Hin.
Yeah.
But kite surf is seasonal, right? It's some
seasonal.
months. How long can you do it?
Season starts in usually around November. And will last until May, June.
Okay, still got time now.
Yeah.
Does it require a lot of physical strength? I've never tried. I've just seen on the beach.
a bit. Not that much, but a bit. You need some.
Okay. Maybe next time I should try that anyway. Okay. Now, Okay, you've got a beautiful family. So for family travel, 𝗙𝗿𝗆 number one for family travel.
Family travel. If in Thailand.
In Thailand, yeah.
If in Thailand, oh, you know, we've been to, obviously we've taken the kids to like Phuket, 𝗙𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗏, you know, the north we went to Chiang Mai, but I think they're not mountain boys.
Okay.
They're more like
beach.
You know, beach as well.
Okay.
You know, we took them to a few cities, but I think their favorite place remains 𝗙𝗆. And it's not. And let's put it this way.
Got inspired.
Actually, it's not that their favorite place is 𝗙𝗆. Their favorite hotel, and I'm not sure if I can say that.
Okay. Let me guess. For the kids,
Yeah.
Hyatt 𝗙𝗆, no.
No.
Central Grand, no.
No.
Marriott.
Yes.
Ah, okay. That's
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They absolutely love the Marriott, and it, you know, there's a very good explanation to that. If you've been to the Marriott in 𝗙𝗆,
Yes, I've been. Yes.
they have a pool that goes all the way around the hotel.
Yes.
It's huge, and the hotel is it's quite big, but you know, all the villas are only 3 stories high, so and it's big enough that it doesn't feel crowded. And the landscape is very good because it's very green. It's very kids friendly, so the kids can stay in the water like the whole day.
Whole day, yes.
So that it's not so much that they love 𝗙𝗆, it's just that they love this hotel, because when they go, it's like they stay in the swimming pool like the entire day. Like they don't go anywhere.
So traveling with your kids, do you think what did they learn from traveling within the country?
Within the country, I think probably not much, to be honest, from traveling the country. I think for kids, it's more traveling abroad. That is more like, you know, it's eye-opening. It's an experience.
Right.
In French, there's a saying. You know, the saying says, "Les voyages forment la jeunesse." Les voyages forment la jeunesse means that travels develops youth.
Yeah.
Right.
I've heard travels make youth.
Yes, something like that.
Okay.
And what it means is that, and you know, a lot of the problems we have like today in the world between like, I don't know, like the US and China, I can tell you like 90% of people who have never ever been to China but talk about China, right? You know, just as an example, or for the same reason, when I was younger, people would think that I'm Chinese because for them Asia is China.
Right.
You know, we're all Chinese. It's because people don't travel. If you travel, you know, you understand the culture, you understand the people, you become much more open.
Yes.
And I think you see, like, you know, this generation of people who are fortunate enough to travel a lot more, you know, I think they're much more open. And so I think that's what I want for my kids as well. For them to see a lot of different cultures.
Yes.
You know, they have their favorite countries, but they're still too young to be attached to just a few countries.
Right. Yeah, I agree that if we understand each other more in terms of cultures, there'll be fewer conflicts among different countries and cultures. And finally,
I mean, it's like honestly, it's like now, it's like, you know, I don't want to get into politics and whatever, but when you look at the war with Iran, I mean, do people even know where Iran is?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I guarantee you ask, like, you go outside, you ask people where Iran is, like, they wouldn't be able to point you like where the country is. Right? And the same, like, people at war with them, the people in their country, do you know where the country is? I'm not saying they're good or bad, but it's just that we don't even know where it is, right?
Yes. Okay, outside of Thailand, the favorite countries for your family and kids? Of course.
I would still say taking them back to France. But France is mainly like to go and visit like friends and family. So it's an excuse to go back, but it's also I don't want to say my their roots because it's more mine than theirs. But I just want them to keep touch with the French side of me.
Okay, and relatives.
Relatives, the language, and all that. I don't want them to lose that.
Okay.
Right? But the absolute favorite country for the kids is actually Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why
all seasons.
Yeah, and that's why I say I don't want them to get stuck with Japan. I love the country. I know, I understand 100% why my kids love Japan.
Yeah.
But to me, I always talk to my wife and say Japan it's not reality. And what I mean by this is Japan is so unique. People are very they're very disciplined. They queue. It's clean. It's everything is in order. It's probably the only country in the world that you would see something like this. You go to any other countries, it's dirty. There's no order. People don't queue. People will push you, and my kids needs to see that. So that's why when you go to France, when we go to UK, I want them to experience that.
The differences.
Yeah? Because there, it's it's survival of the fittest, right? And you need to see that because that's the real world.
Right. Cool. So as this year, we are celebrating the diplomatic relations between France and Thailand, 170th anniversary. Actually, last year we celebrated the first contacts anniversary, which was 340th anniversary already. Are you involved with any upcoming activities about this celebration?
Well, actually, I think the celebrations are still in the plan. But am I involved? Yes, I'm involved.
Let me show the camera
a little bit.
Okay.
Because one of my roles is I'm the president of the 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗎.
Yes.
So the French association. So we had quite a few activities this past year. As of late, we did an event about a month ago where the 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗎 was one of the recipient of an award that recognizes our role in expanding, promoting, Francophonie or the French culture and the language, which is our mission as the Alliance Française.
In Thailand, I think Alliance Française has been in Thailand for over 100 years.
Yes. Yeah. And Thailand and France have always had good relationships. France is a country that Thai people love to visit, and French people love to visit Thailand as well. So we've always had this connection, and here we're on 𝗙𝗵𝗶, which is sort of the default area where French people
came in,
love to live, to settle. Yeah.
Yes.
This is the French area of Bangkok.
Right. So we look forward to a lot of great activities to celebrate the relationships between the two countries this year. Okay, last but not least, we're talking about travel in different countries. For Thailand, if for the French friends or any international friends, if you would invite them to come to Thailand?
I don't think we, at this point, I don't think Thailand needs to invite French people, because a lot of French people are choosing to come and live in Thailand.
Oh, really?
One thing, a big change I've seen in the past few years, there was, when the economy was good, not just in Thailand but in Europe as well, you had a lot of companies, they had expats.
Yes.
French expats in Thailand, and other companies as well. And especially from COVID onwards, no more expats, because all the companies, all the multinationals have been cutting their costs down. And one thing I saw happening is French people would still come to Thailand and didn't care. Okay, I'm not going to be an expat here. I'm just going to come work as a local. But they have chosen to come to Thailand and I think that's what we were saying before. People are more open. They travel more. They know about the countries, and also because of what's happening in their own country.
Yes.
Because if you see what's happening right now in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Italy, and I'll say this, it doesn't feel as safe as before. It has changed a lot, and unfortunately, I don't think for the better. And now a lot of people have decided to, they have the choice now. And before, when we were younger, it was very difficult to travel because you didn't have low-cost airline, it was expensive and whatever. But now it's easier, more convenient. Now you have digital nomads. So a lot of the things have facilitated, made it easier for people to say, okay, I can actually live or work from anywhere. And so a lot of people are doing that now. I just met like a French guy the other day for work, and he's doing like he has his own like content and media company, a bit like you, in different field. He's been in Thailand for 6 years. He came here since he said he came here when he was 29. 6 years now, he's 35. And he said one thing he said to me, I didn't even say anything. He said, "Oh, we're so much better here." I say it's true. That's why I said you asked me like after 25 years has anything changed. When I say no, it doesn't mean it's not good, but it's also not a bad. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, I would like to see the country evolve, like progress. But what Thailand has for itself, it's a very welcoming country, and people just love that. We're not, we're not aggressive. Like if you look at you're a digital creator. When you go on Instagram or on TikTok, you see a lot of influencers coming to Thailand, especially female influencer. The first thing they say is like, "Oh, it's amazing! I can walk. Yeah, I can walk at 10 p.m. and it's safe." And when you think about it, it's like, why is that like that? You feel like surprised that in some country, like in a country like Thailand, you can walk at night at 10 p.m. and feel safe. You should feel safe at 10 p.m. in your country. But what it means is that you don't feel safe, right? And unfortunately, that's the truth, right? And same, you look at, today and that's my advertising for Thailand. You say, we talk about developed countries.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say that, but you go to developed countries, the infrastructure, the subway, the underground smells like it smells very bad. It's super dirty. It's very old. You walk at night, you're probably gonna get like
feel unsafe.
You're gonna feel very unsafe. If you have a nice watch, when you come back, you probably won't have that watch anymore, right? And these are like small things. There's worse than that. Thailand, you will not have that, guarantee. You have like, it's a beautiful country. People, I know it's a cliche, but that's the truth. People are friendly. The food is still very, very cheap. Good quality. I don't know. It's like you don't need an ad. It's like just come to Thailand. I guarantee your life will be so much better.
Wow. Oh, very good summary. I think you've covered it all. Thank you for sharing with us today, and I wish like all the best for anything you'll do this year or whatsoever. And hopefully
we meet again.
Yeah, hopefully we could do something together to celebrate the Thai and France relations this year.
Yes.
Okay, should I say thank you so much, 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗧, and then merci beaucoup.
Merci.